Hi, welcome back to The Naked Birth. I'm Louise. Thank you for tuning in again. I previously spoke about my experience of having my second child on the bathroom floor. Yes, this floor down here. As you can see, it's a pretty cramped bathroom. Not a lot of room at all. So I wanted to share with you in detail what happened and why this mistake happened in terms of a natural birth. So for my first birth, it was quite quick. My contractions started at 10:30 at night, and then I went into hospital at about 1 o'clock after my waters broke. And then I had my son at 3:15. So overall about 5 hours, which wasn't bad. So for my second birth, I was expecting her to be quite quick, but I wasn't really prepared for the order of the sequence, I think, because it was very different, which apparently is normal. Second babies can take you by surprise and be quicker. So my contractions started on and off from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but really ramped up after I put my son to bed about 10 o'clock at night. But my waters hadn't broken. So I phoned the hospital and said, shall I come in at that point? Because the contractions were getting about 7 minutes apart. And I was thinking, well, it's a bit funny my waters still haven't broken, but I'll phone the hospital. They said, no, it's fine. You can hang on at home until your waters break. So we waited a bit longer. At this point, the contractions really ramped up and were getting quite painful. So I took myself up to the bathroom because I knew that I needed to go to the loo anyway, and I knew that it was comforting sitting on the loo. so I went and sat on my loo, like I'm doing now. Talk to you from the toilet, and the contractions really ramped up at this point. Probably because I was in a more relaxed position. So I was timing them and they were getting really close together. So I shouted to my husband as much as I could because I didn't want to wake up my son, and said, oh, I think we better go. At this point I stood up from the toilet and I felt a gush, and that was my waters breaking, and suddenly there was a whole big mess on the floor. Yes, poor bathroom floor. It's seen a lot of mess. So then my husband came in at that moment and was a bit like, oh, okay. I said, you're going to have to call an ambulance. Phone the ambulance now. I can't go anywhere. Because as soon as my waters broke, I could feel the baby coming. Now, to those women that haven't had a baby yet, there's a moment where you can just feel it. It's like it just all moves on. And this was really quick. It's like I could feel the baby coming out to me. She was ready. There was no stopping her. So my husband called 999 and put them on speakerphone while he grabbed some towels and tried to get me comfortable. Now at this point I've kind of sunk down onto the floor. So I'm down on the floor now. He's put some blankets, some towels around me, and he's at the business end, squashed by the toilet. With the 999 on speakerphone, with them saying, can you see the head? Which is the most stupid thing, because obviously we're women, we know where it is, but it's like there's no mistaking the feeling of a head coming out. So of course I'm saying, yes, it's there, and my husband's going, well, I don't know what I'm looking for, which at that moment isn't really what you want to hear. Anyway, he figured it out, let's say. and he was absolutely amazing, because as it turned out, the baby was coming out with the cord round its neck. So my husband could see it. So I was on all fours on the bathroom floor for him to be able to see, just like that. So he saw the cord and managed. He didn't tell me what was happening because he didn't want me to panic, but he managed to get the cord from around the baby's throat. But because I thought the baby was stuck, I pulled myself up to lean on the sink next to me, which was a really good height, because I knew that gravity was going to help this baby come out, and I pushed down with all my might to make sure that the baby could come out. And lo and behold, she did, and came out at the right time after the cord had been released. And my husband managed to catch her on the floor by the toilet. And then he had to clear some gunk out of her mouth, because when babies come out so quickly, there's a lot of gunk and a lot in the eyes. He had to clear off the face, and thankfully she started crying. At which point I started crying, because it's quite an ordeal. It happened so quickly. No one wants to give birth on the bathroom floor. No one really wants to do it without hospital and the NHS staff, without paramedics. But my husband was absolutely amazing. After the baby was born, I should say, the baby was behind me then, with the cord still attached. So we had a bit of a fumble trying to pass the baby through, so that I could sit on the floor with the baby with the cord still attached, and wait for the paramedics. Now, I lost a lot of blood at that point, which I did with my first birth. But I'd learnt that the best way of stopping the blood flow is to breastfeed. Now, I was breastfeeding my first for 2.5 years, so I felt really comfortable about breastfeeding this second one. So immediately put her to my boob. She latched on straight away. So this was within a minute of being born. She was at my boob, and the blood flow eased, and all that was left then was to cover me and the baby up and wait for the paramedics to arrive to cut the cord. Obviously, after they arrived, we both had to go into hospital to be checked, but we were fine. I should say that the baby I delivered was £9.14, so a really big baby. My first baby was £9.13. So I just want to inspire other women who are worried maybe about the size of their babies being too big. Your body can handle anything. You can do it without pain medication. You're made for it. Your body adapts brilliantly. It's just something that you will be able to cope with. And if the unexpected happens and you end up on the bathroom floor and your husband ends up delivering it, you'll cope. Just keep breathing. Just know everything will be all right.